The chamber hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 100 different species murmuring in their native tongues. Holographic trade routes flickered above the central dais, a tangled web of commerce stretching across known space. Ambassador Elias Vance adjusted his cuffs, the only human in a sea of alien delegates. His sharp suit stood out against the iridescent chitin of the Superians, the gelatinous containment suits of the Vorak, and the floating orbs of the Cerelians. High Overseer Vexlan raised 4 manipulator arms, silencing the chamber. His chitinous plates shimmered under the artificial light, a display of authority among his kind. "The vote is unanimous," he announced, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. "Effective immediately, all human goods are hereby embargoed by the Galactic Trade Federation." A ripple of approval spread through the assembled delegates. Senator Creevil pulsed within his containment suit, bioluminescent nodes flashing agreement. "Human products are unstable," he gurgled. "Your economies lack the refinement of centuries of interstellar trade." Elias didn't flinch. Had expected this. 3 months of closed-door negotiations, of veiled insults, of being treated like a backwater merchant peddling trinkets. He let the murmurs wash over him, counting the seconds before Head make his move. Vexlan stepped closer, his multi-jointed legs clicking against the anti-grav platform. "Your technology is crude. Your food is primitive. Even your art lacks the depth of a proper civilization." He gestured to a hologram of Earth's trade exports, textiles, machinery, agricultural products. "The Federation has no need for such mediocrity." Elias waited. Let them have their moment. Let them think they'd won. A Cerelian delegate floated forward, its orb, like eyes glowing with condescension. "Perhaps your species will learn humility from this. Return to your world. Focus on simpler pursuits." That was when Elias smiled. Not a diplomatic smile, not a polite one, a knowing one. Vexlan's antennae twitched. "You find this amusing, Ambassador?" Elias reached into his jacket pocket. The chamber tensed. Humans were unpredictable after all, but he only pulled out a small data chip. "Before you finalize this vote," he said, sliding it across the table, "you might want to see this." Vexlan hesitated, then inserted the chip into a console. A hologram flared to life, a black market ledger, scrolling with entries: human whiskey, earth leather, handcrafted furniture, and next to each item, a price tag that made even the Vorak senator's gelatinous form ripple in shock. "What is this?" Vexlan demanded. Elias leaned back. "That, High Overseer, is the Freeport Omega Market Index, updated yesterday." He tapped the table. "Notice how the prices spiked right after the embargo was proposed." Creevol's containment suit bubbled. This is illegal." "Of course it is," Elias said. "But since when has that stopped anyone?" He stood straightening his tie. "You can embargo our goods. You can call them inferior, but you can't stop the galaxy from wanting them." Vexlan's chitin darkened, a sign of agitation. "This changes nothing. The Federation's decision stands." Elias shrugged. "Then I guess you'll have to explain to your people why they're paying 10 times the price for a bottle of Kentucky bourbon." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and High Overseer, that hyperdrive on your private yacht. The one your engineers said was unfixable." He smirked. "You might want to check the black market for a human mechanic." The chamber erupted. Delegates shouted over each other, some demanding explanations, others already accessing illicit trade networks on hidden datapads. Elias didn't look back as he walked out, the weight of their realization settling behind him like a closing door. They'd underestimated humanity again, and that was exactly how Head planned it. The smuggler's den was the kind of place where light went to die. Flickering neon signs buzzed overhead, casting jagged shadows across the scarred metal tables. The air smelled like engine grease, cheap synth, liquor, and the musk of a dozen different species packed too close together. Mara Sikorsky leaned against the bar, her cybernetic eyes scanning the room with practiced disinterest. The optic's faint red glow reflected in the polished surface of the counter as she tapped her fingers against a glass of something that might have been whiskey 3 distillations ago. Across from her, Grix the fence adjusted his breathing mask, his 6 eyes darting between the crowd and the datapad clutched in his clawed hands. "You humans," Grix hissed, his voice a wet rasp through the mask's filters. "Your goods are banned, but demand sky high." He slid the pad toward her. The screen displayed a list, prices climbing by the second. A single bottle of Kentucky bourbon, 50,000 credits, earth leather jackets, 200 grand a pop, and that's before the bidding wars start. Mara smirked, swirling the murky liquid in her glass. Sounds like the Federation's embargo backfired. Grix's mandibles twitched in what might have been a laugh. Backfired? It detonated. You ever seen a Zephyrian aristocrat try to bribe a dockmaster for a crate of human coffee? Pathetic. They're offering up their own offspring's inheritance just for a taste. A commotion erupted near the entrance. A hulking Vorak enforcer shoved through the crowd, his gelatinous form rippling with agitation inside his containment suit. He slammed a fist on a nearby table, sending drinks flying. "I was promised a human chef," he bellowed. "Where is he?" Mara raised an eyebrow. "Chefs now." Grix's eyes gleamed. "Oh, that's nothing." Last week, a Cerulean crime lord paid $500,000 for a human barber, said no one else could handle his facial tendrils without making him look like a molting hatchling. Mara snorted. "Let me guess, he got some old earth barber from Brooklyn. Was a theoretical physicist who just happened to know how to use scissors." The Vorak enforcer stormed off, knocking over a chair in his frustration. Mara watched him go before turning back to Grix. "So what's the play here? We smuggle in luxury goods, let the rich idiots fight over them." Grix leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Luxury goods. Child's play. The real money's in services, mechanics, chefs, engineers, even your damn musicians." He tapped the pad again, pulling up another list. "See this, a human jazz band played 1 gig on Zenthis Prime. One now every noble house in the system wants to book them. Last offer was 2 million credits, plus a private yacht." Mara whistled. "And the Federation. They think they've crippled your economy. Meanwhile, their own elites are funneling fortunes into the black market just to get their tentacles on anything human." She drained her glass, the cheap liquor burning down her throat. "So we're not just smuggling goods anymore, we're smuggling people." Grix's eyes glittered. "Not just people, specialists. You got a human who can tune a hyperdrive by ear, million credits. Someone who can cook a steak without turning it into synth. Paste, name your price." Mara pushed off the bar, her mind racing. The Starhound, her ship, was docked at Freeport Omega's outer ring. Small, fast, and equipped with enough hidden compartments to make a customs inspector weep. Perfect for this kind of work. "All right," she said, cracking her knuckles. "Let's make them pay." Grix grinned, his mandibles clicking in anticipation. "I've got a list. First up, a Zephyrian mining magnate wants a human mechanic to fix his unfixable luxury cruiser. Says Federation engineers just made it worse." Mara smirked. "Bet I know someone who can handle that. Payments up front, 500,000 credits, and Hez lowballing." She laughed, shaking her head. "And the Federation thought they were punishing us." Grix tapped his datapad again, pulling up another entry. "Oh, it gets better. Rumor has it Senator Krevol himself just acquired a personal human chef, paid triple the going rate to keep it quiet." Mara's grin turned sharp. "Then let's give the galaxy what it wants." Across the bar, a group of Zephyrian traders huddled over a single bottle of Earth vodka, passing it between them like sacred relics. One of them took a cautious sip and immediately spasmed, his chitin flushing bright blue. His companions erupted into cheers, reaching for the bottle with desperate claws. Mara watched, amused, pathetic. Grix chuckled, and profitable. She pushed away from the bar, tossing a few credits onto the counter. "Get me that list, we've got work to do." The neon lights flickered as she strode toward the exit, the hum of desperate aliens filling the air behind her. The embargo was supposed to break humanity. Instead, it had made them the most valuable commodity in the galaxy. And Mara Sikorsky was going to cash in. The private estate of Senator Krivol floated above the methane seas of Galathis IV, its obsidian spires reflecting the planet's sickly green auroras. Inside the lavish dining hall, bioluminescent fungi pulsed along the walls in time with the senator's gelatinous quivers. His containment suit, his filters, hissed as he adjusted his form in the adaptive seating. 4 eye stalks fixed on the human moving through his kitchen. Antoine Delacroix wiped his hands on the stolen apron, his fingers dancing across the alien ingredients with practiced ease. The Vorak's personal chefs, 3 Lithian gastronomists with their taste, tendrils twitching, hovered at the edges, their resentment palpable. They'd spent cycles trying to please Krivol's notoriously fickle palate. Now this soft-skinned primate had been smuggled in under a cargo hold of black market truffles, and within minutes he'd commandeered their kitchen. "Focus, mes amis," Antoine murmured, flipping a pan with a flick of his wrist. The scent of caramelizing shallots and earth wine filled the chamber, cutting through the usual acrid tang of Galathian spices. "You keep burning the fond because you're scared of the heat. Cooking is fire. Fire is life." One of the Lithians made a wet clicking sound. The senator's previous chef died for under-seasoning his 3rd stomach sack. Antoine tossed a pinch of salt over his shoulder. Then he died a coward. Krivol's containment suit vibrated as the aromas reached his olfactory vents. His primary mouth dilated involuntarily, a breach of Vorak decorum. "You claim this, Kokau Yuvin, cannot be replicated by our molecular synthesizers." Antoine drizzled sauce over the dish with the precision of a surgeon. "Your machines can copy the chemicals, Senator, but can they copy this?" He tapped his temple, then slid the plate forward. The first bite sent Krivol's eye stalks rigid. His gelatinous form rippled violently, nearly breaching his suit, his seams. The taste, layers of earth and fire and something alive, unlocked dormant neural pathways. For the first time in his 7-decade lifespan, a Vorak senator moaned in public. This is worth the Federation's wrath." Antoine leaned against the counter, arms crossed. His grin was all teeth. "And you haven't even tried the souffle." The kitchen staff recoiled. A souffle required timing, something no alien chef had mastered. Their attempts always collapsed into viscous puddles, earning them punishments in the acid pits. Yet, here was this human whisking eggs like it was nothing. Krivol's comm link buzzed. A hologram of High Overseer Vexlan materialized, his chitinous face twisted in outrage. "Senator, our surveillance drones detected unauthorized human biosignatures in your..." The transmission cut off as Krivol's pseudopod smashed the projector. His voice dropped to a subsonic rumble. "Double the security, triple the bribes. This human does not leave." One of the Lithian chefs finally snapped. "We demand to know his techniques, the Federation embargo." Antoine silenced him with a look. "You want to learn? Watch." He cracked an egg one, handed yolk glistening under the fungal light. "But understand, this isn't just food. It is memory. Every bite carries 10,000 years of human hunger." He poured the batter into a dish, his movements precise. "We didn't just cook to survive. We cooked to mean something." The souffle rose golden and perfect. Krivol's eye stalks followed its ascent, like a religious devotee. When the first spoonful touched his membranes, his entire body shuddered. Data streams exploded across his neural feeds. Flavor compounds his species had no names for. Textures that defied Vorak biology. In that moment, the senator grasped the terrible truth. The Federation hadn't just embargoed goods. They'd embargoed art. Antoine wiped his hands, watching the alien's reaction with quiet satisfaction. Behind him, the Lithian chefs exchanged glances. One reached for a knife before the blade cleared its sheath. Antoine spoke without turning. "Try it. I've killed for less than a ruined sauce." The knife clattered to the floor. Krivol's voice was hoarse. "Name your price." Antoine untied his apron. "A shuttle, fully fueled, and a message to Earth. You're leaving." The senator's form darkened with distress, but the souffle can be taught. Antoine scribbled instructions on a datapad. "But understand, no Vorak will ever make it like I do, because you didn't grow up in a Parisian kitchen with your grandmother slapping your wrist for over-whisking." He tossed the pad onto the counter. "That is the thing about humans. Our best creations, they're stolen from our past from each other." He smirked. "Hell, from you. So go ahead, try to replicate it. I dare you." As the senator pored over the recipe like a sacred text, Antoine pocketed a bottle of stolen Zepyrian wine. The taste of victory, he decided, was even sweeter than the souffle. High Overseer Vexlan's luxury yacht drifted in high orbit over Zenthis Prime, its polished silver hull reflecting the planet's amber glow inside. The air smelled of ionized metal and frustration. The hyperdrive had failed. Again, and the finest Zepyrian engineers had declared it beyond repair. Vexlan's chitinous plates rattled with irritation as he paced the engine room, 4 manipulator arms twitching. "Unacceptable," he hissed at the cowering technicians. "This vessel was crafted by the finest shipwrights in the Federation, yet you tell me it cannot be fixed." The lead engineer, a spindly Zepyrian with faded blue markings, lowered his antennae. "The core is too unstable. Overseer, the Federation's own protocols demand we scrap it." Vexlan's mandibles clicked in disgust. Scrapping the yacht would mean humiliation, admitting that even Zepyrian engineering had limits. Then he remembered the whispers from the black market, the ones about human engineers. The mechanic arrived 3 hours later, escorted by armed guards who looked uneasy around her. She was small by human standards, her jumpsuit streaked with grease, a faded tattoo of a wrench peeking out from her rolled-up sleeve. She didn't bow or offer the traditional Zepyrian salute, just cracked her knuckles and eyed the hyperdrive like it owed her money. "This the problem?" she asked, jerking her chin at the smoking core. Vexlan bristled. "Obviously, and you will address me with the proper, yeah, titles later." She crouched beside the drive, pulling a multi-tool from her belt. "Your guys overcomplicate things. Half these parts are redundant, and this." She tapped a glowing conduit. "This is just begging to fail." Vexlan's antennae twitched. "The redundancy is by design. Zepyrian engineering is flawless." The mechanic snorted. "Flawless if you like spending 10 times the credits for half the performance." She yanked open an access panel, revealing a tangled nest of wires. "See this? Your engineers layered 6 backup systems, but the primary fails because the coolant lines are choked. No wonder it overheats." Vexlan leaned closer, his compound eyes narrowing. "And you propose to fix it? How?" The mechanic grinned. "By doing what your guys are too scared to try." She reached into the panel and yanked. A handful of wires came free in a shower of sparks. Vexlan recoiled. You barbarian. That's a regulated..." The hyperdrive whined, then sputtered. The mechanic smacked the casing with her palm, once, twice. On the 3rd hit, the drive roared to life, its hum steady and strong. Lights flickered back on across the yacht. Vexlan froze. "That's impossible." The mechanic wiped her hands on her jumpsuit. "Nah, just human." She tossed the useless wires at his feet. "Your engineers were so busy making it perfect, they forgot to make it work. Sometimes you just gotta hit it." Vexlan stared at the humming drive. Then at the human. For the first time, he understood why the black market prized her kind. It wasn't just their goods, it was their minds. "You will name your price," he said quietly. The mechanic shrugged. "Already got paid, but tell your buddies something for me." She leaned in, her grin sharp. "Next time you want to embargo us, remember, you need us more than we need you." Vexlan watched her leave, the hyperdrive steady pulse mocking him. The Federation had banned human goods to cripple them. But humans didn't just make things, they made solutions. And that was a commodity no embargo could touch. The derelict dreadnought hung in the asteroid belt, like a corpse left to rot in space. Its hull bore the scars of ancient battles, pockmarked by plasma burns and punctured by kinetic rounds. The perfect place for business no one wanted witnessed. Mara Sikorsky adjusted the seals on her pressure suit as her shuttle docked with the abandoned warship. The airlock hissed open to reveal a corridor lit by flickering emergency lights and the occasional glow of an alien's bioluminescence. The scent of ozone and stale coolant hung thick in the recycled air. "Took you long enough," Grix's voice crackled through her helmet comm. The Skrellian emerged from the shadows, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "Bidding starts in 10 minutes. You brought the merchandise." Mara patted the sealed container at her side. One genuine human sommelier, vintage Fey, certified palate by the Parisian Culinary Institute. "You sure this is going to work?" Grix's mandibles twitched in what might have been a smile. "You haven't seen the guest list." The auction chamber had once been the dreadnought's main hangar bay. Now it was filled with floating platforms, each supporting a different alien crime lord in their preferred atmosphere. A HSSK crime syndicate leader coiled around a heated perch, his scales shimmering under heat lamps. A pair of Zepyrian arms dealers stood on an anti-grav disc, their chitinous armor polished to a mirror shine. Even a Vorak crime boss floated in a suspended nutrient tank, his gelatinous form pulsing with anticipation. At the center of the room, a raised platform held a simple table and chair. The human sitting there looked absurdly calm considering his circumstances. Jean-Philippe Laurent adjusted his cuffs and surveyed the crowd with the same detached interest he might show at a wine tasting back on Earth. Mara took her place beside Grix at the control podium. "Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed beings of indeterminate gender," she announced, her voice amplified through the ship's ancient PA system. "Today we offer something no replicator can duplicate. A genuine human sommelier trained in the ancient arts of Earth's vineyards." A murmur ran through the crowd. One of the Zepyrians clicked its mandibles loudly. "We're here for the chef you promised?" Mara smirked. "Oh, Chef Delacroix is already spoken for. But this gentleman," she gestured to Jean, "Philippe, he can tell you which of your world's vintages pair best with roasted Grolthax larvae. He can identify a wine's region, year, and vineyard from a single sip. And most importantly," she paused for effect, "he can train your own staff to do the same." The HSSK syndicate leader hissed, "Begin the bidding." Grix activated the holographic display. Starting price, Fei Galactic standard credits. The Vorak crime boss pulsed violently in his tank. Fei, countered one of the Zepyrians. Jean-Philippe raised an eyebrow as the numbers climbed. He leaned toward Mara. "I do hope someone tells me what a Grolthax larva tastes like before I have to pair it." Mara snorted. "Just smile and pretend you know what you're doing. That is what the rest of us do." The bidding reached Fei when a new voice cut through the noise. 500,000. The entire room turned to see a massive Throg warlord step forward, his forearms flexed as he spoke. "My pleasure barges need refinement. This human will provide it." Grix's eyes darted between the remaining bidders. Going once, going twice. When no one countered, he slammed a manipulator on the console. "Sold to the Throg representative for Fei credits." As the Throg's attendants moved to collect their purchase, Jean-Philippe stood gracefully. "Before we depart," he said smoothly, "might I suggest sampling the Fey Bordeaux I noticed in your collection? It would pair beautifully with your next business dinner." The Throg blinked his primary eyes. "You can tell what wines I own just by looking at me." Jean-Philippe smiled. "The stains on your left ventral sleeve are quite distinctive. That particular vintage has a unique viscosity when spilled." Mara watched as the Throg actually laughed, a deep booming sound that shook dust from the ceiling. "This one is worth every credit," the warlord declared, clapping Jean-Philippe on the back hard enough to stagger a normal human. The sommelier merely adjusted his jacket and followed his new employer without a backward glance. As the crowd dispersed, Grix turned to Mara. "We could have gotten more." Mara counted the credit chits in her palm. Nah, at this price, we want them coming back for seconds. She pocketed the fortune with a grin. Let's see what else Earth has that these suckers will pay top credit for. The emergency council chamber buzzed with frantic energy, a far cry from the smug confidence of the embargo announcement weeks earlier. Elias Vance leaned back in his floating chair, watching the holographic displays flicker with damning data streams. The numbers glowed red, human goods now trading at 10 times their pre-embargo value on the black market. A Zephyrian aide dropped a datapad, its clatter echoing through the suddenly silent room. High Overseer Vexlan's chitinous plates rattled with barely contained fury. 4 manipulator arms slammed down on the central console. This is unacceptable. We banned them to cripple their economy. His compound eyes darted between the screens showing human whiskey auctions, Earth leather smuggling routes, and most damning, a live feed of a human sommelier being sold to a Vorak crime lord for fee credits. Senator Krevol's containment suit rippled uncomfortably. The mechanic you laughed at. His gelatinous form quivered as he projected a security recording. The footage showed the grease, stained human kicking a Zephyrian hyperdrive back to life, while Federation engineers stood gaping. That primitive just fixed what your best minds declared unfixable. My yacht hasn't run this smoothly in decades. Elias took a slow sip from his mug. The rich aroma of smuggled Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee filled his immediate vicinity. 3 council members' olfactory sensors twitched involuntarily. You're drinking contraband in council chambers? Vexlan's antennae stood rigid. Allegedly. Elias smirked over the rim. Unless you'd like to explain why your own security scans failed to detect it. He tapped his wristcom, projecting new data. Shall we discuss how many human chefs are currently employed in your private residences? Overseer, my sources say your 10th hatch. Day feast featured 7 courses prepared by unidentified kitchen staff. A hush fell over the chamber as the evidence mounted. Security feeds from Freeport Omega showed Zephyrian aristocrats bidding against Vorak syndicates for human-tailored suits. Medical reports revealed 3 high-ranking officials being treated with smuggled human pharmaceuticals after alien equivalents failed. The clincher came when the central display flickered to show Mara Sikorsky's latest broadcast from the derelict Dreadnought auction house. Next lot. The human smuggler's cybernetic eye gleamed as she gestured to an elderly Japanese man in a kimono. Master Swordsmith Hattori Hanzo, last living practitioner of Tamahage's steel folding. Starting bid, 1 million credits. The ensuing bidding war between a Zephyrian warlord and a Ceralian art collector lasted 17 minutes. When the gavel fell at Feifei Million, Krevol's containment suit nearly burst from internal pressure. That is more than our entire cultural preservation budget. Elias set down his coffee with deliberate calm. Here is the situation, honored delegates. He tapped another command. Every screen switched to show the same galactic map, trade routes, pulsing crimson where black market activity had spiked. Your embargo didn't stop human goods from circulating. It just made them luxury items. Murmurs spread through the alien delegates. A Skrelian accountant whispered calculations to her aide. The lost tariff revenue alone could fund a small fleet. Vexlan's mandibles clicked furiously. We cannot, will not, be held hostage by black market economics. Too late. Elias pulled up a final image, a Zephyrian nursery where hatchlings clamored for real Earth cartoons, instead of educational hollows. Your own young are demanding human media. Your elites are addicted to our cuisine, your infrastructure. He flashed the mechanic's repair logs, running on human ingenuity. The chamber lights flickered as if on cue, another power fluctuation. The Federation's over-engineered systems couldn't stabilize. Krevol's containment suit slumped in defeat. We may have miscalculated. Elias drained his coffee. Oops. Outside the chamber windows, the swirling nebula over Zenthis Prime seemed to pulse in time with the scrolling black market figures. Every flickering digit was a silent testament to humanity's oldest truth. Where there is demand, someone will supply. And when the galaxy demanded what humans could provide, no embargo in the universe could stop that. The grand hall of the Federation Council shimmered with forced opulence, its vaulted ceilings designed to impress. Today, they only served to amplify the quiet humiliation of a dozen alien species. Elias Vance adjusted his tie, the only human in a sea of iridescent chitin, gelatinous forms and hovering sensory orbs. The air smelled of ozone and desperation. High Overseer Vexelan's four manipulator arms twitched as he floated on his anti-grav platform. His chitinous plating, usually a proud display of Zephyrian superiority, seemed dull under the harsh lighting. "This is unprecedented," he hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. Elias smirked, tapping the datapad in front of him. The numbers didn't lie. Unprecedented? No, inevitable. Absolutely. Senator Crevol's containment suit gurgled as he leaned forward, his gelatinous form rippling with discomfort. "You planned this? Planned?" Elias chuckled, sliding the treaty across the table. It glowed softly, the holographic text displaying terms no Federation leader had ever imagined signing. "We just let you ban us. The rest was just human nature." A murmur spread through the chamber. The screens lining the walls displayed the damage. Black market reports, smuggler ledgers, intercepted communications. Human whiskey selling for Fei credits. A bottle. Earth leather armor fetching $500,000 per set. A single human chef's annual contract going for more than a Vorak senator's entire estate. Vexelan's antennae twitched. "Your goods were deemed inferior, yet here you are," Elias said, gesturing to the data, "paying 10 times the price for them." The mechanic, still in his grease-stained jumpsuit, leaned against the wall near the human delegation. He hadn't been invited. Head just walked in. No one stopped him. Not after Head single-handedly repaired half the Federation's luxury yachts in the past month. "Told ya," he muttered to no one in particular. "Everyone likes things that work." A hulking Thorian crime lord, his carapace still scorched from a recent firefight over a shipment of human coffee, growled from the observer's gallery. "I lost 3 ships trying to smuggle their spices." Elias didn't even glance at him. "And how much did you make on the 4th? The Thorian fell silent. Senator Crevol's suit bubbled nervously. "The culinary arts alone. Your species has skills we cannot replicate." "Damn right we do," Elias said, finally standing. He didn't need a platform. He didn't need to hover. He just stood there, 2 legs on the ground, and the room felt it. "You banned us because you thought we were weak, because you thought you could control us, but you forgot one thing." Vexelan's claws scraped against the table. "And what is that?" Elias picked up the stylus beside the treaty. It was a simple thing. Plastic, human-made. He rolled it between his fingers. "You can't embargo ingenuity." Then he signed. The holographic seal flared to life, the Federation's emblem twisting to accommodate the new terms. Human goods, legal human services, protected. Human trade routes, open, no tariffs, no restrictions. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then the first order came in. A Zephyrian aide rushed forward, his antennae vibrating. "High Overseer, the Vorak Consortium just requested 5,000 cases of Kentucky bourbon." Vexelan's mandibles dropped. Elias didn't even look up as he tapped his earpiece. "Mara, yeah, we're good to go. Start shipping." Somewhere in the Freeport Omega docks, Captain Mara Sikorsky grinned, her cybernetic eye flickering as she kicked off the crate she'd been leaning on. "All right, you apes, move out. We've got a galaxy to supply." And as the first human freighters, no longer hiding in asteroid belts or smuggling lanes, jumped into Federation space with their holds full of everything the galaxy had been secretly craving, Elias Vance poured himself a glass of that very same bourbon. He took a sip, sighed, and leaned back in his chair. "Tastes like victory." The mechanic snorted. "Nah, tastes like credits." And that's how humanity turned an embargo into the greatest sales pitch in galactic history.